RP Show continues. Hour 2 brought to you in part by Suds Full Service Car Wash. Fuel your fleet's finesse with Suds unbeatable cleaning packages. They'll shine like new every time. Visit sudsregina.com. Barney's teeth are always shining like new. You in Halifax, Barney?
I am just landed a few hours ago. Yeah, hockey helps the homeless in Halifax. My first time doing it, so pretty excited. Second time I've been here in like 3 weeks, so I feel like I live here now.
Such a grand town, the home of Brad Marchand. Well, listen, Barney, this won't surprise you. The viewers all got a ton of questions for you. So before I turn them loose on you, you saw what we were talking about earlier. Can you explain this? Because it came up earlier. How do the Bills and the Sabres have the same owners? One team's perennially a contender and the other's perennially junk. How do you explain that when ownership, it starts at the top?
Yeah, I can only speak from the Sabre side. Now, this is what I've heard in the past that when you buy an NFL franchise and you're looking for a GM and coach, that there is a committee that you can go to and they will help you through that search and they will help you find a GM. They aren't going to tell you who to pick as GM, but there is a committee that I have been told that will lay out the best people that they think are available for that. And then they go to the coach from there. That's what I've been told because I've asked that question many a times. As for the Sabres, obviously we're talking about Terry Pagula and his whole family in that order. I know from a standpoint from the start, let's just say the first 9-10 years of him taking over the Sabres, that they were actually making moves behind the scenes and having meetings and giving their input and really their input in signing players, drafting players, whatever it may be. So an owner that makes their money fracking oil and made billions of dollars, you stick with what you're good at. Stick with what you're good at. I think that's just everything in life. If you're good at talking on air, do it. I don't mind talking on air. I wasn't a bad hockey player, but if you tell me to put together an IKEA set or fix how to set up the TVs, I'm going to hire someone or get my buddy who knows how to do it because they do it a lot better than I.
Oh, my guy. When I owned farmland, I was like, do you think I'm telling the farmer what to put in the ground? Just put it in. Send me the check. My
Exactly.
God, I'm not that guy. One last football question, because you're here to talk hockey, obviously, but you're the Jets fan. Woody Johnson clearly doesn't answer those calls from the committee of how to helps you run your team. Like, how do you feel about what the Jets did here at the trade deadline?
Man, listen, Woody Johnson, he's meddled into everything along the way. It's been a tough 15 years, and as an avid Jets fan and a big supporter, I'm not jumping ship. They weren't winning with Sauce Gardner, and they weren't winning with Quinnen Williams. Both those guys are superstars in the league. Having said that, we're not winning in the next few years. Why not stockpile the picks and give the new regime a chance to make their moves? And they're going to have multiple first round, second round, third round picks coming up in the coming drafts. You have to hit with a quarterback. That's been the issue. If you don't have a goaltender in the National Hockey League, you're not a perennial hockey team. If you don't have a perennial star quarterback, you're not a perennial playoff team in the NFL. We haven't had one in at least 15 years, so it's been a tough run, and hopefully we can find one.
Okay, let's talk about funner things for you. Brent, my buddy Brent in Florida says, hey, Barney, who is the current player that you think best represents how you played the game?
Well, listen, I'm not comparing myself to these guys, but I think you have to look at the Kachuk brothers. Now they're a better hockey player than I was. They score more points. There's not many guys, that play the style that I did that had the kind of ice time. You either go from like a Matt Rempe or you go from a Ryan Reeves to like a Kachuk, a Marchand, or Brady Kachuk, and I'm talking Matthew. But the difference between the Kachucks and Marchand is the way that they play, and they're all stars. But I can put up 30 to 40 points some years, draw people into penalties, fight when I needed to. But what those guys do better than anyone I've ever seen is they're ones that can piss you off, be under your skin, have the other team's fans absolutely hate you, drive you nuts, draw the penalty, and they're the ones that go out on the power play and score the goal. And I think that's the caveat of what they do best is they can piss you off, they can be the rats, they can be the shit disturbers, but at the end of the day, they're also the stars on the other team, which makes them that valuable to their team.
Darcy in Grand Prairie writes in. He says, Barney, by the way, does anybody call you Matthew? Does anybody call you Matthew?
My mom, when I'm in trouble,
That's,
yeah, it's Barney,
she's
Bam
the only
Bam.
one.
There's a plethora. Yeah,
Okay.
she's the only one.
Darcy says, Barney, is Ivan Demidov the real deal?
He certainly is. I think you watch him, what he's doing every given night. Last night was no exception. I mean, cautiously optimistic last year when a kid has that much fanfare coming to Montreal, and he looked good, but at times he looked a little, out of sorts. He's coming in at the end of the season to a new league, a new language, a new surroundings, and going to Montreal is certainly a very hard place to go as a young kid. But I was at that opener at home this year for the Montreal Canadiens, and the plays he was making, the setups. Listen, he's got elite skill level. He's a very good skater, smooth more than quick, but he cuts on a dime and his vision is electric. There's going to be a tough race for that Calder Trophy when you look at Matthew Schaefer, who I've known since he's been a young kid. We've talked about that before, and Demidov. Those are the two front runners for sure.
I don't watch as many Habs games as I like, but I watched that one as I'd like, but I watched that one last night. They're a legit threat to score every game, and their power play is literal magic. I can't remember the last time.
Yeah,
Well, Tampa's got a good one too, but these guys are young. They're the youngest team in the league.
young team, and all those guys are locked up for 5 to 8 years at great cap numbers. So they're going to be good this year. They're going to be a playoff team, but man, in 3, 4, or 5 years, that's going to be a really good hockey team.
Mayday writes in, this is awesome. He's a Patriots fan, but he says, are the Penguins going to make the playoffs, Barney? I hope so for Crosby.
It's funny, we were just talking about that. When said Mayday, Brad May is like 2 doors down from me here in Halifax. I was like, just come over and ask the question, my man. I'll give you the answer. But listen, I didn't think Pittsburgh at the start of the year had a chance. From what I've seen in the last 3 years, all the rumors were, where's Malkin going to go? Where's Crosby going to go? Where are they going to end up? And I just hope Sidney Crosby ends as a Penguin. And the way that they're playing this year, they certainly look like a playoff team. I'm going to say yes. They've got good goaltending so far this year. They have to continue that if they're going to have success throughout the year. But man, Crosby looks good. Malkin looks good. It's fun to watch for that organization.
I saw them here a couple of weeks ago. Tristan Jarry looked good. They get any goaltending at all, and they're not a They're not a Stanley Cup contender, but they're a playoff team. That's what I would be doing is looking for a goalie. They don't grow on trees, as we know. But
yeah, we know that. And I think, up to a few games ago, his save percentage was at like 923. And if you're at 923, the only goalie that had like a 920 save percentage was the Buffalo Sabres and Alex Lyon. And they were like 0-6, whatever it was, which is absolutely crazy. So Buffalo, if they scored a few more goals early, talk about goaltending, they could have a much different record than they have right now.
I assume you are keeping an eye on the entire league. Like I'm calling it bizarro world right now. The Anaheim Ducks are kicking the crap out of everybody, and they're first place in the Pacific Division. Have they arrived?
I'm not there yet. Listen, they still give up a lot of chances. It's a young team that can score goals. You got Leo Carlson, you got Gauthier who had his first hat trick last night, Mason McTavish, who's a family friend. These guys can score goals, just anywhere. It's early. Until we get to the 20 game mark, 25 game mark, then we're going to see teams that really find their way. Toronto hasn't found their way. There's a lot of teams that are still like meddling. Tampa Bay is still one of those that got off to slow starts. So until we get to 20, 25 games, I think we can start to see, is that record still 8-3-1 or whatever it is for Anaheim off the top of my head, or do they get closer to that 500 range? So I think we're still about a month away from that.
Scott in Moose Jaw would like to know who's the toughest player in the NHL right now, or does it even matter anymore?
Man, I'm going to go back to Tom Wilson. Tom Wilson to me is a guy that plays valuable minutes. He's not a guy that just goes out there and fights, but he can certainly set the tone if he has to stick up for a teammate that gets cheap shotted. He can set the tone if they're down 2-0 and wants to find a partner if there's a willing combatant on the other team. But listen, That guy is dynamic, and he can change the momentum with a goal, a power play goal, regular shift goal, or just a big hit. So to me, he's the toughest because of the valuable minutes he plays as well.
Pretty quiet out of Leafland these days, which said no one ever, but it feels like it is.
Yeah, the start that they've got off to, Austin Matthews under a point a game. He had a much better game in the last one against Pittsburgh. That could be a galvanizing moment for that team, though. Being down 3-0 in the third period to Pittsburgh, coming back, scoring four, winning that game, and I know I've had those moments where you've lost 6-7 in a row, and then you come out. They just didn't get. They haven't got off to a good start, but it's still too early. They're one of their best players in William Nylander, who would be their top scorer right now if he played in all the games. He's been dealing with injury, so they've had some goaltending issues, not playing up to par. A lot of things in Leafland haven't been 100% for them, but this is still a playoff team. They'll contend for the league, the lead in that division when it comes down to it. But I don't think they're a contender. And I think if you look at Vegas odds at the start of the year, they're usually like plus 700 to win the Stanley Cup, which means for betting people out there or non-betting people out there, if you bet $100, you win 700. So they're a high favorite, top 3 or 4 in the league. This year they were like plus 1,700. So even Vegas believe that this is not a Stanley Cup contending team unless a lot of changes happen.
Matthew Barnaby with us, 18th all-time in NHL penalty minutes. If there was ever a record that's safe, it's you and the 17 guys ahead of you. That's not going to be challenged. You're going to worry about that.
No, I don't have to worry about that. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing because, obviously there's a lot of things that go wrong with your body, your shoulders, and hopefully not my head. Knock on wood, I feel pretty good. But yeah, it's no one's passing me for 18th. I can promise that.
Well, you look fine. I can't speak for the inside, but you look fine, Barney. And I'm to be honest, I'm kind of intrigued by this hockey helps homeless. I've seen a lot of my buddies traveling around doing that. They do it in Saskatoon a lot. The Sutters are involved in that, but we don't really know what you do. Would you mind telling us what you do when you do these?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I do the one a few for Hockey Helps the Homeless. I do a few for Alzheimer's, obviously very close to my heart. So they all raise money for their charity. So this is raising money for the homeless, which we know is an epidemic in Canada. Anywhere you go, it's got worse and worse with the economy and where we stand. But essentially, people raise money all year long. They pool their money as a team, 18 to 20 guys together. They raise anywhere, let's just say, from 15,000 a team to $150,000 a team. Whoever gets the most money raised gets first pick in the draft. You can pick myself, Brad May, Andre Waugh, whoever it may be. There's going to be 22 or 23 guys here this weekend. And then you go with that team for the weekend. You play 3 games. You have a great fun at the draft night. You go out for dinner after the games the next day. And again, it just all goes to a great cause. And for us players, we get to tell our stories, how much bigger, stronger, faster, better players we were than when we played. And we also get to reminisce with our friends, the Brad Mays of the world, which I'm very, very excited to see him. I haven't seen him in about a month, so going to be a fun time seeing May Day.
Well, that's Hockey Helps Homeless. And I don't know, did you happen to see on the TNT broadcast last night Eddie Olczyk's impassioned pregame speech on hockey fights cancer? If you haven't seen it, look it up. And it's on NHL on TNT's Twitter. He just talked about his own battle, and it was he looked right in the camera, and it was a message to anybody battling cancer now. What a special guy. You played with Edzo, didn't you?
I didn't play with Edzo, but I've gotten to know Edzo. I've known him a long time. Funny story, and yeah, just everyone get checked out when they need to, and obviously that's do a few events for cancer out there. Listen to Edzo, but I'm certainly going to listen because he's a first class guy. My first recollection of Eddie O, I was a young player, and I remember after the game, our trainer came up. He goes, "Eddie Olczyk would like your stick." I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, that's He's an older guy. I'm just a young guy and not even a star in the league. So he walked me down, and his son, I guess I was his son's favorite player at the time. And Eddie had told me the story. So obviously I gave him a stick and met his son. And then I got to meet his son, and his son's got into broadcasting, so many things along the way. But yeah, Edzo is a first-class guy, and just glad he's doing well.
People always love the fighters, don't they? And whoever says, sorry, I don't know where I just got a big buzz on my ear here, but whoever says God created us all equal haven't met certain guys. Eddie Olczyk is in another rarefied air as a human being, and a broadcaster and a player and all the rest. Terry from Calgary writes in, and he said, we only got a couple of minutes left, Barney, just so you know, we'll let you go shortly. But Terry from Calgary, Terry the lawyer, says, why is Logan Thompson again being given the cold shoulder by Canada? He's referring to the Olympics, I'm sure. I guess they feel he's not good enough. I mean, we're just coming off the Four Nations face-off, which we won.
Yeah.
These guys know what they're doing, Terry. Jordan Bennington was in goal. He won it. Montembeault was the number 2 goalie. You can't have everybody. What do you think, Barney?
From what I heard, doesn't get along great with people. I'm going to say that as politically correct as I can there, and that's not how I do it, because I don't know firsthand. If I said he was an ass or whatever, that's just from what I've heard. And again, further to your point, RP, they won. They won the Four Nations. Are there going to be changes for the Olympics? Could we see a Celebrini? Maybe. Those guys. Could we see a Matthew Schaefer? Maybe. We'll have to see how it all plays out. And if there's an injury, Logan Thompson could be the guy. But you can't argue with what's happened in the last year with Team Canada. They played great there.
Well, and by the way, who knows what Carter Hart's going to do once he starts kicking pucks for real in Vegas? Like, he's the guy. To me, he was going to be the next one. And they went to Philly, ruined his career. And we all know what happened with the junior thing. So do you think that he could have a great December, January, or Hockey Canada's like, yeah, we're not touching that this time around?
No, they are not touching Carter Hart. I don't care if he doesn't let a goal in. Team Canada.
Okay.
Can you imagine the headlines? And listen, he was acquitted on all charges, and I think he deserves a second chance. You can judge morally however you want, but legally he has been dismissed of all charges and deserves, all the players, in my opinion, deserve another chance. But in no way is he going to be playing or ever be putting on a Team Canada jersey ever again.
Right. Yeah, dumb. Shouldn't have even brought it up. Hey, you doing some work with Bet365?
I work with Nation Network for podcasts and through DFO Moneyline. That's one of our shows that we do. So I jump across, kind of a chameleon, jumping across the platforms for different podcasts out there. But yes, 365 powers a lot of our stuff, and do some stuff for them. And actually going to do a little hit with them as soon as we're off.
Okay, good stuff. Well, I appreciate that. Oh my God. We only have 45 seconds. Tony in Cochrane says, hey, Barney, how many 2, 5, and 10s did you get in your career? You probably have that number in your head.
No, God, no. I know I have 2,562 penalty minutes, and through AHL, NHL, and junior, I think it's up over 4,200, but no, 2, 5, and 10s, no clue. Over 400 fights and over 200 fights in the NHL.
And I know how much money you gave back in fines, too, because we talked about that. You have that number somewhere, or your accountant does anyways. Okay, Barney.
$264,536.
Imagine if he had that back. Oh, my God. All right, Barney, thanks. Have fun. Enjoy Halifax.
Cheers, buddy.
The great Matthew Barnaby, 18th all-time in penalty minutes, and just an all-around great guy. We'll be right back, everybody, with a sports update and viewer takeover. We're live on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network and Game Plus.